and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm here to give you guys my Reading Rush TBR. So this is the first time that I have ever participated in the Reading Rush, and I've just seen so many booktubers that I watch participate in the Reading Rush year after year, so I thought that this year I would participate in it myself. I have chosen 6 books to fill 7 of the prompts, because one of the prompts I feel like I could read any book for that prompt that I've already listed. I'm not saying that I'm definitely going to read 6 books within the week that the Reading Rush goes on, which the Reading Rush starts on the 20th of July through to the 26th of July. I'm not saying that I'm going to read every single book that I have selected. I will give you a more condensed TBR where I get all 7 prompts into fewer amount of books at the end of this video. If you're interested in just a short list, then skip to the end, or maybe I'll put a timestamp up for you. This was actually really difficult for me to find books that matched these prompts. I thought these prompts were quite tough this year, but I enjoyed searching my bookshelves and my Kindle app to find books that will suit the prompts well enough. The first prompt is to read a book the same colour as your birthstone. So my birthday is December, so December birthstones. I'm going to butcher all of the names of these birthstones, but these are the gemstones that correlate to December birthdays. So you have zircon, tanzanite and turquoise. I'll put text up on the screen with what it says. Each of these gemstones carries a unique blue tone. So first things first, I went and raided my bookshelves, and the only book really that came up was Stephen King, The Green Mile. I went onto my Kindle app, and I don't know if this is cheating because this is a book the same colour as your birthstone, so I've kind of altered it to be like as long as my birthstone colour is on the book cover. So I've gone for Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. When this book was first came out and people were talking about it on BookTube, a lot of people really enjoyed this book, and it was apparently a really good thriller. I actually downloaded this on the Kindle app. I think it may have been 99p because Kindle has a deal going on at the moment where a load of their books are just 99p to download. I thought I'd read Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. I thought the colour of the river on the front cover will go nicely with the prompt of reading a book that has the same colour as your birthstone. So this one is basically about, it says that on a dark midwinter's night in an ancient inn on the Thames, the regulars are entertaining themselves by telling stories when a door bursts open and in steps an injured stranger. In his arms is the drowned corpse of a child. Hours later, the dead girl stirs, takes a breath and returns to life. Is it a miracle? Is it magic? And who does the girl belong to? An exquisitely crafted multi-layer mystery brimming with folklore, suspense and romance, as well as with the urgent scientific curiosity of Darwinian age. Once Upon a River is as richly atmospheric as Setterfield's bestseller, The 13th Tale. I haven't read The 13th Tale, but this just sounded like my cup of tea. I love a good thriller. Also, if you're wondering where I'm getting all of these synopsises from, because I've just decided that I'm going to just read the synopsis to you guys instead of trying to explain it, because I tend to take longer to get my thoughts out. I'm getting them all from Waterstones' website. Any books that don't have a synopsis on Waterstones, I am just getting them from the Amazon app, because that's where I buy most of my books at this current moment, is Amazon or The Works. The next prompt is to read a book that starts with the, which is, as a lot of people would say, is that it's quite easy. So the book that I decided to go for was The Woman Inside by E.G. Scott. I brought this from The Works, as you can see, for the 3 for £5 deal at the top. I remember when I brought this, I was really interested in reading it. This is another thriller, by the way, but I was really interested in reading it, and since buying it, I haven't been as heads down, excited, etc. to read it, but I still am interested in reading it. I like the concept, and I am curious to see how things go in this book. So this one says that Rebecca doesn't know love was possible until she met Paul, a man from a past as dark as her own. But 20 years later, the damage and secrets that drew them together now threaten to tear them apart. When Paul catches the attention of the police after two women go missing, Rebecca discovers Paul's elaborate plan to build a new life without her. And though Rebecca is quickly spiralling out of control, it doesn't stop her hatching a devastating plot of her own to get revenge. They made a promise to each other, after all, till death do us part. So I'm so excited to see what she's going to do, what the reaction is. It should keep you on the edge of your seat. I haven't actually looked at reviews or star ratings or anything for this book. I just saw it in the works. And like I said, when I first read it, I was excited. Now I'm not as excited about it. I should have probably read it. This is probably a book that I should have read before I read more thrillers, because this sounds like a little bit of a plot that I may have read before, but I'm still excited to read it nonetheless. The next prompt 3, was to read a book that inspired a movie that you have already seen. I genuinely don't have any books on my shelf that are inspired by movies. Like, I have read the Twilight books already, and of course I've seen the Twilight movies. Much like everybody else, I think they're something that you read when you're really young and you really love them then. And then as you grow up and you reread them, you kind of notice they're not as amazing as they once were. So what I'm going to be reading, the author is very controversial, so we're not going to talk about the author at all, but I have never read the Harry Potter books. I have seen all of the movies and I've watched them definitely more than twice, each one. I've seen them quite a lot, and I have just never read the books. And I know everybody loves the Harry Potter series, not as much J.K. Rowling at the moment, because I think she's saying, personally in my opinion, she's saying things that are completely unfair and heartless to have mentioned. She's using her platform for bad. In my opinion, that's the way that I'm viewing things at the moment, but I don't want to correlate this to her, but I do want to read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, because the beginning of July, I plan to wrap up, hopefully, if I get round to it, 2 whole series, and then that means I'll be good to open a new series. So I was thinking of doing Harry Potter, because I have never read Harry Potter and it's something that everybody says is a staple that you should definitely read if you're into fantasy and stuff like that. Then the 4th prompt is to read the first book that you touch. So I just kind of laid out a selection of a few books, and I just kind of stopped on one randomly, and the one that I happened to stop on is one that I'm so excited to read. So I'm so happy that this is in the TBR, because this will probably be one of the first ones that I choose to pick up, because I wanted this book for so long, and I finally bit the bullet and got it, and I'm so excited to read it. I think it's going to be something that is so amazing to me, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I have heard such amazing things about this book. I brought mine from Tesco's for £7. I feel like this is a book that is going to hit me hard and I'm going to absolutely love. I know it has some really hard themes in here, and it's really well written is what I've heard. I've heard such amazing things about this book, and I'm so excited to dig my hands into this. This is basically about a girl, Vanessa Wayne, who when she was 15 years old, she first had sex with her English teacher. And basically she's now 32 in this story, and I believe that we flip between 2 perspectives, from when she was a 15-year-old to herself now, looking back on the events that occurred. And basically people have been coming out and making statements about the teacher who she had a sexual affair with. And this makes her rethink all the things that she went through when she was 15 years old and see them in a different lighting. And she is forced to go back into that place where she once was and rethink what was going on. And she's dealing with the possibility that what she may have thought was love was actually rape. I think because I am so excited for it, I will get through it quite quickly. So prompt number 5 is a prompt that I'm just going to use any book really. Any of these books that are in this list, in this video that have been mentioned, I'm just going to use for this prompt. So I'm going to double up this prompt, particularly in both the condensed version of my reading list and the bigger reading list that I have. So the 5th prompt is to read a book outside of your house. I know this was quite a controversial kind of thing, but it's one of those things that the Reading Rush team said to just be creative with. So for me, outside of my house, I'm going to classify it as my garden, but if you don't have a garden or a balcony, then you can just sit by the window. You can read a book with outside in the title. For example, like The Outsider by Stephen King, if you want to read a massive book in the Reading Rush. I'm just going to use any of the books. The 6th prompt is a genre that scares you / your least read genre, and for me that has got to, I'm going to say it's got to be classic. So I have kind of 3 different books that I could have chosen. I could have chosen Per Biblion by Henry Cherry, but again, this is a bit thick for a reading rush. I also have 2 Oscar Wilde classic books. I have The Picture of Dorian Gray and The Importance of Being Earnest. I have read The Importance of Being Earnest. It was a while ago now, but I definitely think that this is the one I'm going to choose. I feel like I'm babying out because it is a tiny little book. And the 7th prompt is a book that is set in a different continent to the one that you live in. And I, for this prompt, I'm going to choose The Damned by Renée Ahdieh. This is my long-awaited sequel to The Beautiful by Renée Ahdieh. Yes, the sequel comes out. It is already out on the Kindle app. However, I am going to be purchasing the hardback version, which comes out on, well, actually it comes out this week on Friday, the 10th of July. So I'm so excited to get my hands on it and finally read it. I've been waiting for that one for a very, very long time. I'm not too sure how long it's going to be, so let's just fingers crossed and hope it's not too long. I know that The Beautiful was 400 pages long, or around 400, but I am very, very excited to read it, and I'm so excited. And obviously it's set in a different continent to that I live. I live in the United Kingdom, or England, whatever, and it's set in New Orleans. So I'm just going to go away and make a more condensed TBR list to show you guys what I would do to condense it. So I have managed to condense it down to just 3 books. So if I need to condense thoroughly, then I will be able to condense it down to 3 books. So I would combine the first prompt, which is to read a book the same colour as your birthstone, and the 4th prompt to read the first book that you can touch. So that is My Dark Vanessa. I would use that for both prompts because my birthstone colour, like they said, mainly contains blue. The writing of Vanessa and the spine is blue, so I could get away with this as a book. And the whole hardcover, the whole hardback itself is completely blue, so I feel like this is a very valid one for this. So I combine that with the book that I first touched, which, like I said, I just randomly went through like 3 books, basically my most newest ones, and I just chose this randomly. I would also combine the 2nd prompt and a 6th prompt, so a book that starts with the and a genre, and to read a book in a genre that scares you or your least read to read a book from your least read genre, which is Oscar Wilde, The Importance of Being Earnest, or The Importance of Being Earnest. So it begins with the, and it's in my least read genre. And then finally, I would combine prompt 3 and 7, so read a book that inspired a movie you have seen, and a book that is set in a different continent to the one that you live in, and I would use Twilight. So this is the only book change that I would do if I was going to condense down into a smaller TBR, is that I would read Twilight by Stephenie Meyers, which is set in Forks, Washington. I have seen the movie, and the movie was inspired by the book, and it's obviously set in a different continent because, like I said, I live in England. So yeah, and then prompt 5, like I said, can apply to any of those books, and I will just choose randomly which book I'm going to read outside in my garden instead of indoors. So yeah, that is my condensed TBR, to as condensed as I could get it, which was 3 books, which I think is really, really doable in a week's time space. But yeah, that is everything for today's video, and that is both my full TBR and my condensed TBR for the reading rush. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do like and subscribe to my channel if you're new around here and would like to see more videos from me, and I'll catch you guys all in my next one. Bye!